Hi, and welcome to today's edition of Ask Klein Math. Today we're going to be talking about kindergarten standard K.8B, and we're going to be working on graphing. This is a really great, fun, hands-on unit for kindergarten and a really wonderful way for students to start to learn to logically place information in categories and think about it with a linear thought, with a mathematical thought, or how are you going to group things and then line them up and turn that into a number that we can use. So we're going to look at a real world picture today. We have a picture of an aquarium with sea animals in it. And our first thing that we're going to look at when we look at our aquarium is we're going to graph the number of sea animals that we see. Now I'm going to do this two ways for you. The first is with some hands-on work. So I have some manipulatives. I don't have fish, but I do have counters in the same colors as the fish that are in the aquarium. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the number of each one of these fish. I'm going to go with the color that goes along with that. And I'm going to place a real world object on my graph to show the quantity of fish in my fish tank. So I'm going to start with my green seahorse. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green seahorses in my fish tank. So I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green counters to go with my green seahorse. This will make it really easy for students to see the connection between the green seahorse and the number that they have counted. Next, I'm going to move to my yellow fish. I see 1, 2, 3 yellow fish. So I'm going to use 3 yellow counters and make my graph with those. And then finally, I have my blue fish. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 blue fish in my aquarium. So I'm going to graph that with 4 blue counters. Now, I can't keep these counters in my math book if I'm going to come back to this lesson at another time or look at this later for some other reason. So in order to preserve this in my math book, if I want to look at it again later and to be able to use my manipulatives for other things, I'm going to come back with a crayon or a marker or a colored pencil, and I'm going to show this graph now by drawing circles where I would have my counters. So I'm going to start with my green. I'm going to take my counter off, and I'm going to draw a circle to take its place. This way, I'm creating my graph, and I can keep it for future reference, or I can keep it to take home and show my parents, anything that I want to do, but it lets me make the connection between the real world objects, my manipulatives that I use, and now to see it in picture form. This is really starting us looking at graphs as with pictures in them, because that's what we'll be looking at when we get to first grade. Now I'm going to my yellow fish, and again, I'm just going to draw in my circle with my yellow where my counter was. And now, finally, my blue, I'm going to draw in my circles for my blue where my counters were as well. While our students are looking at this, you can ask them many, many questions about this graph. So for instance, you might ask your students which fish had the most in the fish tank, in the aquarium, which was the most. And so they can see that the green seahorse has more circles than the yellow fish or the blue fish. So the most in the fish tank would be the green seahorse. You could also ask which was the least. That would be the yellow fish. It has the smallest number of circles, not nearly as many as the green or the blue. So you can ask students to make connections, start to draw conclusions from the information that they see in the graph. Then we're going to be asked to write in each number for our creatures on the bottom. So we're going to look at our green seahorse and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green seahorses, and we're going to write the number 5. We're going to be asked about our yellow fish, and we see that we have 1, 2, 3 yellow fish. I'm going to write that number in using your best handwriting. And then finally our blue fish, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. We're going to put our blue fish number right here so that we have the numeral right next to our fish. Again, students can answer many questions from this. You could ask them to put them in order by greatest to least or least to greatest. This calls back to our comparing and ordering unit that we did early in our year in kindergarten. So then they could say that there were 3 yellow fish, 4 blue fish, 5 green seahorses. Something like that would be a great way to make that connection. All right, let's look at one more graph. So another example of a way we may do graphing is we may see something like this graph where we're already given our graph filled in, but it doesn't have a quantity or a number there that we need to come up with. So the question would be, how many children like yellow cars? So this gives an opportunity for our students to make a connection between the symbol that they see here to represent the cars and how many there actually are. So we're making a connection between a symbol and a number. So here we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circles for our yellow car. So we would find the number 5, and that would be our answer. Graphing for kindergarten is really about being able to use manipulatives to start to recognize that things go into groups together, that you can count those groups, and that you can make connections to real world objects. So something like how many cars that we have, or how many fish were in our fish tank. Graphing is a great fun unit. It can be done with almost anything. A fun way to close out our kindergarten year and get ready for first grade.